Hello and thank you for joining me on this video. My name is Mark McLean. You may know me also on YouTube as Prophecy Prepper, but as the channel name suggests, I have now changed it to my own name to gather in a wider audience, especially those of the faith, because for the times that we are living in, as I have repeated over the years in this channel, more and more things, more and more prophecies of certain events are emerging and unfolding at an increasing pace. And the obviousness of the times is more clearer now than ever. Of course, we do not know the full answer, we don't know the full picture. It's a jigsaw puzzle, but many more pieces are starting to fit together like never before. And I'm compelled more and more to keep these videos coming. And as I also see in other channels popping up over recent years, this is something that's gaining great momentum, especially among the laity of the church. Now, this video I'm especially going to focus on the unexpected significant attack against Israel, firstly from Hamas, and then with Lebanon joining it. We know now it's also been backed up with Iran. These are significant things that may be the spark of many other prophetic visions that may come true that will affect the world, especially Europe. I'm referring in memory back to the prophecies of the fontane regarding the Muslim revolution in Europe that will significantly have impact on France and Italy, to name a couple. But this also correlates with the other jigsaw piece spoken of further back in time with Marie-Julie Jahenney. I've never been great at the French pronunciations, but you all know in the English world as Marie-Julie jahenney. And Xavier Ariel, who has been a wonderful addition to understanding these times through the Catholic prophecies, has been in touch with me, and I'm hoping to get him on the channel as soon as possible. He's in very high demand, and he's rekindled back through his book Revelations, which I've read, that the significant events regarding the countries, regarding the dates, regarding the Muslim revolution and the Russian invasion are more obvious now than ever. Even someone that's not aware of these prophecies very much must see the times of events. Now, there's another priest who uses anonymity, and he goes by the pseudonym Father Oliveira, if I pronounce that correctly. I believe he's from South America. I've seen a few other channels pop up regarding his prophecies, and so far a couple of them seem to have been coming true, such as the death of Pope Benedict XVI by the end of last year. That happened. There's been a lot of messages forthcoming in the last couple of months. Every channel, all these Catholic blogs are all speaking of October. Now, October has always been a significant month, as we've known in this channel. If you've watched my videos in the playlist of Marian Apparitions, you will see there's always been October the 13th, which was October 13th, Pope Leo the 13th had his mystical experience where God gave Satan the century to test the church and humanity. 33 years later, on the 1917, October 13th, we had the miracle of Fatima. And then October 13th, again in 1973, we had the prophecy of Akita, Sister Sasagawa, and a very dire warning to humanity, where cardinals against cardinals, bishops against bishops, how evil the Saint would infiltrate right up through the ranks of the church. You would have seen fire falling from the sky. And now Father Oliveira also says to be aware of October 13th of this date, and the fact that I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, by this month of October, a very significant thing will happen where a religious leader will be killed, and it will send great shock around the world. Is that the Pope? There are many prophecies fitting from sources already mentioned, going way back, that the Pope will flee Rome, the Pope would be martyred. We look at the Fatima third secret, and you see many of the people being killed and the Pope being shot and a city half in ruins. I'm going to come back to that because I see something at a new angle possibly, where I'm going to share a personal thought that's came recently about that. Now, October 7th, when this attack on Israel happened, was a day where many around the world were gathering for a great time to pray the Rosary. Why the Rosary? Well, October 7th, first of all, is the feast day of the Holy Rosary. And if you want to know why it's the feast day of the Holy Rosary, and also the title of Our Lady of Victory, you have to go back, Google the Battle of Lepanto. 452 years ago, we've just celebrated that anniversary there on October 7th, the day Israel was attacked, where the Battle of Lepanto saw the Christians outnumbered massively to the Muslims, and yet when the Pope got them to pray the Rosary, Our Lady basically came as Our Lady of Victory, and the Christians won the battle, freed many Christian slaves from the Muslims, and that's where then, since then till now, 452 years later, we remember the Battle of Lepanto, the power of Our Lady's intercession and maternal protection, the power of the Rosary, which she has repeated and repeated throughout the centuries, including this past century, more than ever. Pray the Rosary. It's the weapon, according to Padre Pio. So, I'm going to speak out off the cuff. I'm going to just say what I've been seeing this past week or so since this attack on Israel. I've been thinking the past week or two, what is going to be the spark? According to Mary Julie jahenney, the spark would be France with this Muslim rising. Now, when I see the mass migration of military-age fighting men coming from predominantly Muslim nations over the Mediterranean, fitting that prophecy specifically, astonishingly well, and at the same time Russia has come into Ukraine in the same time period that we live in. It's not at the beginning, it's certainly not at the end now. Something has to spark that Muslim uprising where we're going to see blood in the streets of France, of Italy and other European countries, but especially France and Italy, where the Vatican will be under attack, where Rome will be decimated, where the Pope may be martyred or have to flee because of it, and at the same time Russia moves with wavering force over the continent. These are the prophecies. So Russia and Islam. Now, when you have over 90% of these migrants coming over in hundreds of thousands every month for the last few years, work out the math, and 90% of them are military-age fighting men. That has got me a great cause for concern the past month or two since rediscovering some prophecies. This is also the case with fontane, a recent video that I did. It's the same echo of the same prophecies with the same dire warnings, with the threat to Europe, with the Muslims and the Russians, a threat to the Pope, a threat to the Church, the Vatican directly. And I believe, as Padre Pio says, the blood of the European martyrs will pay for the great miracle of Garabandal. Are we not witnessing right now a great synod like we haven't seen in living memory, where many clergy of different ranks with laity for the first time on a synod, discussing this one, coinciding with all that's already coming in for the next jigsaw pieces, coinciding with this 13th of October, the 50th anniversary of Akita. That dire warning is the 50th year in these coming days. Now, the thing that came to my mind a few days ago, for the first time in a long time I gave a public talk. May it's the beginning of more. I'm very much open to whatever God's will is in that matter. But while I was presenting the Fatima message with the third secret in Lucia's writings, where she saw the city half in ruins and the Pope at the cross where he was killed, blessing people along the way beforehand of clerics of different rank, including lay people, for the first time, it just dawned on me while reading and presenting what I had, but a private note in the back of my head was, well, right now in the Vatican, that's the people who are gathered for this great prophesied synod, conveniently coming during the time of the 50th anniversary of Akita. And now, with things ready to spark off at any moment, how this war may roll out with Israel If other countries get involved to back up the Hamas, such as Iran, then it'll be Syria and Russia all in cahoots together, and all that's happening right now with Europe and Russia, something's about to give. And according to Father Oliveira's prophecy, if memory serves me correctly, who will the religious leader be that will be killed at the end of the month? Now, I've been thinking about it openly while doing daily tasks and working things. The Pope would be the obvious choice because it fits the prophecies where he's either martyred, he's walking over the dead brethren, or the fact he has to flee Rome, according to Anne Catherine Emmerich. So what is the case? Will it be him this October? There's a lot fitting in the fact that it possibly could be. Second option would be, and I don't know them all by names, I haven't done my research as I'm trying to get this video up just now, if it's a great religious leader in Israel, a Jewish leader, or could it be the Muslim leader somewhere? Whatever's going to happen and roll out will cause the shock. Now, for nearly 2 billion Muslims in the world, that would be a great shock to them if it was a significant leader of their religion. Same with the Jews, perhaps, obviously. But the world, in the Western world, probably doesn't know all the leaders of the world. You might know the Dalai Lama or something like that. But the Pope is the one that's significant, isn't he? And sometimes I wonder, and it's not to make any judgment or predictions, I never do, but we are discerning the times, and it's the one few examples where Jesus rebuked his apostles because they were not heeding the signs of the times. We are called to discern the signs of the times. Our Lady's mentioned such words directly in some of her messages to the seers in recent years. Realise the signs of the times. Now, if you've watched the playlist, which was always my intention, you watch the playlist on my channel in order of these main Marian apparitions, and then you see the videos later putting it all together. This is the point where I'm keeping a silent but open observation to the community, is where I'm thinking right now. Because if something happens at the Vatican because of this spark happening in the Middle East just now, we're going to see that gradual build-up of many bad things coming now, as predicted, as prophesied. And I believe truly, and I've said this for the last 12 months or so, everything, many things that have been prophesied are going to be in abundance and very clear, and they're going to roll out within this decade before the great reset of 2030. I believe it's the great reset of heaven that Our Lady's planned us for all this time. And as well as the Israel attack happening on October 7th, that great coincidence of a feast day, the next headline on the news I saw was the earthquakes around the world at the same time. 3, I believe. Afghanistan, was it Mexico and Papua New Guinea? All over the world at the same time. And this made me remember of one of the prophecies also when these things happen, that the earth would shake and it would feel like a snake going round the planet with all these earthquakes everywhere happening at the same time. Now, I don't see that being the fulfilled prophecy here with the 3 massive earthquakes conveniently happen at the same time as this attack on Israel. But it's another precursor, another sign for those who are aware, like this is what's happening more and more now. And we've already seen what's been happening in North Africa and Turkey the past month or two with devastations from nature. Everyone's going on about climate change. I'm saying prophecy. Because like Blessed Elena Aelio says, and others, nature is reacting because of sin in the world. And throughout biblical history, which you could call Israel history, especially in the New Testament, nature is always used by the Lord when it comes to humble humanity overall. And it takes very little work of God to bring us back to our knees and repent and seek help from a higher power that's not coming from ourselves. And that's what really is happening, and that's what's really going to be rolling out now, is the fact that we're going to be kept in a place where we see sin, devastation, horror increasing, increasing, and increasing because of the wickedness of men, because sin is so vast now, it blends the days of Noah and Sodom and Gomorrah together. And the division through it all and everything else that's happening in the world, nature is rebelling. But we will come to the point, as Our Lady says in Akita, that the great devastation could come through humanity itself. We could cause it to ourselves. Now, I'm going to pick up on a lot of this as time goes on, because I believe this isn't going to end anytime soon. Father Oliveira's message apparently also says that it's not a big impact, it's all at once in October, but you're going to now start seeing gradually things happening more and more. It's going to start increasing. The ball is rolling. It's going to snowball bigger as events and time go on. And I just see the greatest synod in my lifetime happening just now, with laity for the first time, with different ranks of priests, bishops and cardinals all on circular tables blending and discussing. We're seeing something happening that could easily spark the Muslim nations. It will then domino effect into all the Muslims who have been coming into Europe, plus the ones already here. And then at the same time, Russia's going to be doing more when they see an opportunity of a messed up, divided European continent and sweep over, as Mary Julie jahenney prophesied. I do feel myself more and more concerned for the Pope and the Vatican just now because of these wandering thoughts looking at it. I find myself concerned for a lot that could easily rise up quickly, and I have been planning the bug out phases because I don't want to be living where I am just now if this kicks off. It's not a safe place to be, and it's a real time, like more than ever, to pray, for fasting, for repentance, living the good lives that we're supposed to live, that Our Lady's asking us to live. Because when these biblical events roll out more and more, which are contained in all these prophecies, even my most recent one on the three fountains, Tre Fontane, read it, watch the video, look at the stuff that she's leading us to with Akita and Fatima. It's always been a continuation. We are waiting, dear friends, not for the devastations, of course. They're going to come, and I have no fear. It's only a grace from God that when I speak about all this, or I read about this, I don't have knots in my stomach where I did 15, 20 years ago when I read this. I don't have fear. I don't have worry. I don't have the fear of God in terms of that disaster. Ever since coming back from Medjugorje 2 months ago, I felt great peace. And please God, it lasts, it continues, because I don't feel terrible attacks of faith or temptations of certain sins, or any sin. In fact, I find myself in a really good spiritual place, a mindset that is just focused in the love of God and wanting more and more and more. And that is the key if you follow the messages, if you live the messages, not the doom and gloom, but the messages. But when we are part of God's children, God's family, we are the children of God, we are part of that army where we're praying our rosaries, we're fasting. It's a spiritual warfare. It truly is, like never before. And if people in the church, especially the clergy, don't see that, we seriously need to pray and fast for them, that the scales may drop from their eyes, and that the courage that they can have to really protect the flock. The sheep of the flock and the lambs are making their noises, they're restless, something's lurking about there, and they're alerting the shepherds to it. We have to alert the world to the times that we're in. And I believe more and more, because of these significant events coinciding with the great prophesied synod, coinciding with the 50th anniversary of Akita, coinciding with the last numbered pope in Malachi's list, the prophesied two popes where he's the remaining one, Coincidentally coming also at the fact that we had 4 more popes of Garabandal then the new era, which is now again with Francis. All focuses around him. He's the pope that went to Marseille just a week or two ago, praying for charity to welcome in the Muslim migrants. And yet, Mary Truly Jahenney says when these armies come over and Russia's invading, like we're seeing, and more's to come to spark everything off, Paris and Marseille are the 2 cities that will be destroyed. And this significant pope of these times is in that very doomed city of prophecy, welcoming them over. I mean, you can't make this up. Of course, Christian charity has to be there. You don't need to be a Christian to have feelings of love and want to help people fleeing war-torn countries or hunger and famine. I'd be taking my family away as well if I had to find somewhere better to survive in peace. But the thing is, families are not coming over. It's 90% fighting age men. And I'm hearing that from prepper channels to Catholic blog channels, from UK to America, who have nothing in common with what their content is, or maybe some don't even have faith and others do. But one thing they're bringing up in their channel is the fighting age men, and they're coming in their droves, hundreds of thousands every single year, if not more. That is a cause for concern when all these other things are happening. And there I see the Pope in Marseille, leading up to the times that we're in this October. We don't know the full picture, but we have many pieces of the jigsaw getting put together now that, like a jigsaw, you start on the outside, the corners, the borders, you start bringing pieces together, and as the more pieces are fitting, it's starting to be easier to fill that last part of the gap. And I believe that's where we're heading, that's where we're arriving at right now. So be alert, be ready, and no better way than that is in conversion. And this is all off the cuff. This is a quick video to get out there of the significance of these timings. It's just another thing adding. And I will look to get a few of the messages up directly quoting it, and hopefully maybe the presentation again, as I like to put things in that perspective. But please leave your comments below in the chat. Tell me where I'm going with this. Tell me where I shouldn't go or where to look into next. And I will very much do that for us, because we've got a solid community here. I've really noticed that over the years, the people that follow me, most of the comments that come through, there's a great interaction. And please God, we'll have Xavier on the channel, or Xavier, as I believe he calls himself. We have had a couple of emails exchanged. I know he's extremely busy. But I've also got some contacts with a few other of the Catholic channels, and I'm desperate to speak with them. Desperate to speak with them, because I'm not one that just wants to interview them to repeat the same thing. I want to do the interaction as well, because I'm also clued up in a lot of the prophecies. I don't claim to be an expert, but I want to have something more unique and more open, where it's on 2 sides rather than just one. So please God, we get them on the channel, and if anyone can make that happen out there, please help us do so. And until next time, do not fear, do not be afraid, as our Lord says to Luisa Picaretta, those who live in fear do not live in my divine will. And we have to be living in the Lord's will, whatever that may be, total submission, just like Our Lady, and ponder all that's been said. It's one of the key words I've had so far in the past year with Our Lady's example. Ponder everything in your heart. Give it all to God. So keep praying, keep converting, keep spreading the word by liking, subscribing and sharing that video. We're trying to reach as many souls as possible. And when things unfold and the confusion is worse, please God, these videos will serve that purpose of bringing more into the fold. And we do our own ways every way. And until next time, dear friends, take care of each other. God bless you, and thank you.